Hey fantasy nerds, guess what today is? My sister's birthday! Happy birthday, sister! And in honor of my sister's birthday, we're going to talk about her favorite action movie, The Matrix. I remember when The Matrix first came out. I hadn't watched any trailers and had no idea what it was about. But I had hours to kill while downtown and decided to go see a movie. I went and saw it on the whim and it blew my mind. I went home that night and told my sister she had to see this movie. The next day, we went to see it together and it blew her mind. So that night, she called her friend and was like, "You have to see this movie." And the next day, she went to see it again with her friend. I asked her what she liked about The Matrix, and she said the action and the story. Discovering that people aren't really free when freedom is debatable in the first place. Which to me sums up in a nutshell why this movie is so important to cinematic history and why it was such a huge hit. So in honor of my sister's favorite action movie, I'm going to talk about why The Matrix was so revolutionary. Let's start with the fight scenes. Everything about the fight scenes were revolutionary to filmmaking. After The Matrix, every action movie after it copied the style of the fight scenes. Especially the way the scenes were shot. They called those shots bullet time. They were shot on a green screen with a series of still cameras surrounding the subject.
In this particular rig, there are 120 cameras and 2 motion picture cameras set up. The rig that we've made can be configured into any shape that you want.
Everybody started shooting their fight scenes that way, and soon you couldn't remember what it was like before The Matrix came and blew our minds. Yun Wu-ping was the martial arts fight choreographer for The Matrix.
3-4年之後就做指導啦，做指導做到差唔多6-7年到啦，就開始做導演啦。
He was choreographing all of the major martial arts films of that time. He eventually went on to choreograph Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. In The Matrix, they used a mix of a bunch of different styles, including Kung Fu, Wing Chun, Aikido, and Tai Chi.
Yeah!
Put the costume on.
All right, let's do it.
Side note, I took Tai Chi in college. I was so excited to be learning a martial art, but in the end, I was so bored. We basically learned the first movement and did no practical application whatsoever. You know how in movies when you see the stoic martial arts expert practicing Tai Chi outside on the lawn? Because they're always outside on the lawn. That little movement that they are doing is all I did in class. No sparring, no excitement, just memorizing the movement. But yeah, action movies were never the same after The Matrix.
I know Kung Fu.
Which brings us to the other thing that stood out for my sister, the story. People are not really free when freedom is debatable in the first place.
Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
The Matrix made such an impression on the cultural zeitgeist. Everything from people truly believing we are living in a simulation to the red pill community, named after the choice Neo had to make between choosing the red or blue pill. The red pill being the choice to see the truth, whereas the blue pill being the choice to continue on in ignorance. Let's talk about the illusion of choice. Once you are given the choice to choose truth or ignorance, your only option is truth. Once you are given the choice, you now know that the reality you're living in is not the truth. Once you are given a choice, you can't be blissfully ignorant. Once you're given the choice, there really is no turning back. Just by being offered the choice, you're being introduced to the truth. And let's be honest, we are all too nosy to not to want to know the truth. I think a lot of people would have been like Cypher, curious to know the truth, but unhappy with the reality. People like to put the premise of the Matrix under a microscope and say that, humans being batteries for the machines was a relatively stupid idea. But I would like to say that the film doesn't fall apart because of that, because that's not the point. The point is not the mechanics of why people were being oppressed. The point is simply that humans were being oppressed. What's important is that the machines needed to subjugate the humans in order to maintain control. Whether they use them for batteries or just mentally enslave them for shits and giggles, the machines needed to oppress humans to remain in control, period. It is very much like the capitalist system we live in. Capitalism cannot survive without poor people. The rich depend upon the poor for their survival. If everyone was rich, the system would collapse. And history shows us that an oppressed people will eventually rise up and remove the current leaders from power. You can't oppress anyone forever. For example, there is the French Revolution. In the late 18th century, France was on the brink of bankruptcy because of its involvement in the American Revolution and King Louis XVI's extravagant spending. In the period preceding the revolution, the rich became richer and the poor poorer. There was an ever-widening of the divide of the social classes. And this eventually led to a reign of terror where many aristocrats were murdered by the revolution. Even the king and queen were eventually beheaded. As you know, it's still Black History Month, so let's talk about Haiti. Right around the time of the French Revolution, slaves on the French colonized island of Saint-Domingue organized a rebellion. They killed their masters and burned their plantations. The slaves gained their independence in 1804 and reverted the name of the island back to its original name, Haiti. In 1825, the French king forced Haiti to pay for their freedom. They did not have the sum that France demanded, so they were forced to take out loans to pay France back. It took them 122 years to pay France back. In that time, Haiti gave France the equivalent of $20 to $30 billion in today's dollars. And you know what bank had their hand in it? Citibank. Yes, the place where you have your credit card took money from Haiti simply because they fought to be free. It's amazing how in both my examples, the oppressors were French and seem to be getting it from both sides at the same time. The people can only take so much. And the fact remains that oppressors will never change and they will continue to do what they can get away with. It is up to people to not only fight for their freedom, but to continue fighting for it, or else they're going to find themselves back in the Matrix, like in the recent sequel. This video is about the original Matrix, but I had to stop for a second and talk about the significance of the sequel. The original trilogy ended with a truce between man and the machines, but the first chance they got, the machines oppressed humans again. This time, they did it better so that the humans wouldn't realize that they were being oppressed again. This was shown through the cinematography of the movies. The original trilogy was washed out and gray. The landscape was kind of dirty. The recent sequel had vibrant colors and the landscape was crisp and clean. But I don't want to put all of the blame on just the machines. Humans were so dependent on machines to live their daily lives, they gave them the leeway to oppress them again. Because I don't know about you, but if I lived in a society where machines basically enslaved all of humanity, I would never depend on another machine ever again in life. I would make sure all machines were destroyed. Yes, it would be sad to give up the internet, but it would be worse to lose my freedom. So people valued convenience over freedom and became enslaved again. I could make the observation that humans in real life just did the very same thing. There was something that they valued more than their own freedom. So they willingly gave power back to the machines who told them what they were going to do, but somehow they thought it wouldn't affect them, but it did. I think the main thing we learned through history and the Matrix is that freedom isn't free. There is a price that must be paid. And apparently, you can't just pay it once, it must be paid over and over again.
Right now, you're feeling good about what you've done. You should. It was a victory. Bravo. Now what?
I don't know where they're going in this new trilogy, but the point needs to be addressed that the humans allowed the Matrix to rise again. The machines were not Alexander the Great, and the humans were not simply conquered like the Persians. They had a hand in their own destruction. They gave the power to their oppressors. And the oppressors would have never been able to rise into power without the humans' help. The Matrix was more than just a cool movie with awesome fight scenes. It made such a mark because of the message and the themes. It made people ask, what is freedom? And how will we know if we aren't free? Because that is the sinister premise of The Matrix. Not just that humans were oppressed, but that they were oppressed and they didn't even know it. So, are you a fan of The Matrix? Are you looking forward to see where this second trilogy goes? Let me know in the comments down below. And say happy birthday to my sister while you're down there. Come back Friday when I wrap up my Black History Month series with another DC superheroine. If you enjoy my videos, please support my channel by subscribing or by donating through Ko-fi or Cash App. Or you can purchase merch related to my fantasy novel or just buy my fantasy novel, The Fairy Princess. And let's continue the conversation in the Fairy Princess Facebook group. All links in the description. Thanks.